I tried to obtain a driving license in French, but the experience taught me that Ontario's French Language Services Act does not guarantee true inclusion. In Canada, some provinces where English is dominant have laws that recognize the rights of French-speaking communities. In Ontario, the French Language Services Act exists to ensure that French-speaking residents can access essential services in their first language, especially in designated cities like London. People are usually surprised to hear that French, one of the dominant languages globally and an official language in Canada, is facing challenges in many cities across Ontario and other provinces. The federal government in Canada offers services that are fully bilingual, but most essential services are of provincial competence. When I moved to London, Ontario, I was used to relocating, so updating my driving license was routine. But this time, the service was not readily available in French. I booked an appointment to receive the service in French, and yet on the day of my appointment, no agent that was present felt comfortable enough offering me the service in French. Instead, I was advised to proceed in English as it would be faster for me, which probably means more convenient for them. I faced the same issue with my car registration, healthcare registration, and other services. This is how French-speaking people are assimilated to speak English in Ontario, despite services being deemed inclusive with French. Let's start with a quick definition of language inclusion. It refers to the practice of recognizing, respecting, and accommodating diverse languages in communication, in services, and in organizational content to ensure equitable access and participation for individuals regardless of their linguistic background. So our question is, can we claim that a language is supported because services are offered in the language on demand? Picture yourself walking into a public office for help. Brochures in the dominant languages are readily available, but an agent who is also struggling to understand you is trying to explain to you that they have to go look in a different room for the same documentation or information in your language, or that you need an appointment to meet an agent who can serve you. Or imagine calling or visiting a service only to be told that the procedure and platform to register, request a service, or to book an appointment are online. Yet you are unable to find them because the website localization is not up to date with recent content. This shows that without true support, language barriers can persist through policies. Let's look at some reasons why demand-based inclusion fails. The first reason is that it perpetuates barriers to access. Why? Demand-based approaches require individuals to explicitly request services in their preferred language. This can deter people who feel uncomfortable, they fear stigma, or they lack the confidence to make such a request. Also, people can just be unaware that multilingual services are available, and this further reduces their likelihood of making a demand. Another reason is that it is reactive rather than being inclusive. These approaches only respond to needs once they are expressed, which inherently excludes individuals who might benefit but do not or cannot ask. Language inclusion becomes inconsistent and unpredictable, often leaving marginalized groups unsupported. There is also the erosion of trust and equity. When services are not readily available, individuals may perceive the system as inequitable or unwelcoming. This undermines trust in public institutions and services as individuals feel that their linguistic needs are treated as exceptions rather than being integral considerations. There are health and safety risks. In healthcare, for example, delays in communication can result in incorrect diagnosis, improper treatment, and sometimes can cause life-threatening issues. During emergencies, such as natural disasters, individuals who do not quickly understand alerts, warning messages, or safety instructions may be at greater risk. Ensuring clear and immediate multilingual communication can literally save lives in these situations. Demand-based inclusion also maintains legal and administrative inequities. The legal system and public administration can be especially difficult to navigate for those who do not speak dominant languages. This can create situations where individuals may face injustice simply because they cannot fully understand their rights or the processes involved. Uh, Demand-based inclusion again also has economic costs because it creates inefficiencies that are costly for public services and the society. Public institutions may end up spending more time and resources because they need to repeat clarifications, address errors, handle issues that could have been prevented with adequate communication initially. Moreover, sidelining individuals who do not speak dominant languages can prevent them from contributing fully to the economy, especially if they possess valuable skills that remain untapped due to language barriers. This brings us to active offer. When we talk about language inclusion, we mean providing communication that is equitable for everyone. True language inclusion means offering information and services in all required languages at the same time, ensuring the same quality for every language, and delivering it with the same comfort so that everyone has an equal chance to contribute to society. This is where active offer of multilingual communications comes into play. Active offer is a proactive approach that ensures equitable access to services and communications for everyone. So what precisely is active offer? How does it work? And why does it matter? According to Ontario's French Language Services Act, active offer would mean that French language services are not only available but also brought to the attention of the client upon the first contact. Unlike reactive solutions that are based on active demand that rely on people to request multilingual communication, active offer anticipates diverse language needs. It makes services accessible to all from the start, removing barriers before they arise. In public service, active offer of multilingual communication means making language accessibility a foundational part of service delivery. Instead of waiting for people to ask for multilingual communications, institutions will proactively provide resources in multiple languages. This approach ensures that linguistic accessibility is a given, not an afterthought. Active offer, however, is not only a local necessity, it is a global necessity. Let's look at some numbers. According to the 2021 Canadian Census, 24.5% of Canadians, this is equivalent to 9.3 million people, are unable to conduct a conversation in English. Similarly, the US Census Bureau's ACS, which is the American Community Survey, indicates that 8.2% of the US population, this is approximately 27.3 million individuals, report speaking English less than very well. In the European Union, with 24 official languages across 27 countries, linguistic inclusivity is essential for seamless cross-border collaboration. And globally, over 8 billion people speak nearly 7,000 languages, and there are immigrant communities, indigenous populations, and refugees that contribute to a rich linguistic diversity in the different regions that they are installing. Of course, there are many challenges that organizations may face when looking to implement active offer. Let's look at some of them. The first challenge is technological barriers, because outdated systems or a lack of language support tools or training can hinder progress. There are also resource constraints to support the initial efforts. This includes limited budgets and personnel to provide multilingual services effectively. To this complexity, we can add the sometimes wide range of languages spoken by diverse populations, which makes it difficult to address every need equally. Another issue can be evolving demographics. meaning language needs are constantly changing, and implies that organization needs to they need to adapt continuously. Sometimes due to the issues mentioned above, but also sometimes due to human nature, we have the common issue of resistance to change. Staff may be hesitant to adopt new practices, or they may feel unprepared to deliver services in multiple languages. Another challenge, and this one is the most significant, is the lack of cultural sensitivity. Without understanding the cultural context behind languages and locales, multilingual communication can fail diverse communities. For example, imagine a French-speaking patient that has access to an interpreter in an emergency room in Ontario, and the ER is trying to process the patient for triage. The patient has access to an interpreter, so the situation is linguistically inclusive, one would think. But depending on the patient's cultural reference and other, whether they come from Quebec, France, Africa, or another French-speaking region, if they say "j'ai eu mal au cœur ce matin," it could mean at least three things, and each of these three things can be life-threatening and requires a different type of intervention. One, it could mean that they felt dizzy, they vomited, and they may need to be checked for a gastric infection or something similarly dangerous. Two, it could mean that they had a heart attack and they need to be checked for a cardiac emergency. Or three, it can mean that they had a terrible heartbreak, maybe because they lost a loved one or their lover broke up with them and they are suicidal. An interpreter that is not aware of these differences and the cultural reference, or is not the correct one for the locale, could create a life-threatening misunderstanding. Despite these challenges, advancements in technology and community-driven approaches can help make active offer more achievable. Streamlining content creation and leveraging AI can significantly reduce cost, even though, however, human oversight will remain essential to ensure accuracy and cultural appropriateness in multilingual communication. Collaborating with local organizations, communities, and professionals can help ensure that content resonates with the people they are intended to serve. By incorporating community input, organizations can better identify priorities and refine their approaches to multilingual communication for a greater and better impact. Another strategy is to equip employees with the skills to recognize and respond to linguistic diversity. Furthermore, offering content in multiple formats ensure accessibility for all demographics, including those with limited abilities. Proactive language accessibility has multiple benefits. The first benefit is empowerment and equity. When multilingual communication is readily available, individuals don't need to navigate the stigma of asking for help. An agent may act frustrated when an individual is asking them something that makes them have to go to the back to go get documentation in a different language than the documents that are available right in front of them. With active offer, individuals don't need to ask agents to go out of their way to serve them. This helps individuals engage with services on equal footing. Ultimately, active offer is about creating systems where no one is left behind or feels like a burden. Another benefit is building trust. Proactively offering multilingual communication sends a clear message that everyone is valued. This builds trust and strengthens relationships between public institutions and the communities that they aim to serve. Active offer also helps improving outcome. In healthcare, accurate communication in the language they are the most comfortable with can improve patients' understanding, adherence to treatment, and health outcomes generally. And in legal services, it can ensure fair trials and equitable access to justice. Across sectors, Proactive language access enhances the effectiveness of service delivery. There is also the benefit of improving operational efficiency. Providing multilingual content upfront reduces confusion, errors, and repeated interactions. So it is not just inclusive, it is practical and cost effective. There are many success stories that institutions can use as a reference and inspiration. In Canada, what government level provides a service depends on competence. Marks, as we've seen, are missed at the provincial level, but Canada's federal government's approach to bilingualism is a global benchmark. The country's federal government guarantees access to services in both English and French, and this works great at the customs, international trade ports, all airports, and other points of entry, demonstrating how proactive policies can foster inclusivity. However, many services that affect daily life and essential services in Canada are of provincial or municipal competence, and those are where people face barriers. In California, healthcare providers offer materials in over a dozen languages. This approach has significantly reduced disparities in health outcomes for immigrant communities. There is also the example of the European Union. Their proactive commitment to multilingualism ensures that residents speaking 24 official languages across 27 member states can instantly access essential services without language barriers. Multilingual communication should be more than a compliance measure. It should be a commitment to inclusivity and equity. As societies become more diverse, services must adapt to meet evolving needs. By combining the expertise of professionals, the use of technology, community collaboration, and inclusive practices, organizations can break down language barriers and create environments where everyone is valued and supported. Active offer for the win. Embracing active offer is a victory for equity, for inclusivity, and it is the true essence of meaningful communication. More importantly, it empowers everyone in all linguistic communities to fully engage with the services that they need and to effectively contribute to society. Thank you for listening to what I had to share. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn for further discussions, to exchange knowledge, or to provide me with a feedback. I would really love to hear from everyone.